Divine Feminine, listen carefully. There comes a moment in this journey where love no longer asks you to hold on. Instead, it asks you to let go. Not to walk away forever, not to stop believing, but to step back far enough for the connection to finally confront the truth it was avoiding. You have reached that moment, a moment where your absence will speak louder than every word you once said, every message you once sent, every tear you once cried. The power you didn't know you had is waking up, and it is waking up through the space you are creating. You used to think that being present was how you protected the connection. You believed that loving harder would fix what was breaking. You hoped that showing up again and again would teach him how to stay. But now, after everything you've lived, your soul knows something far more profound. Sometimes the most powerful declaration of love is to stop showing up for someone who refuses to show up for themselves. Your energy is no longer chasing, no longer convincing, no longer holding together a story he isn't ready to write with you. Your absence is not a disappearance. It is a boundary. It is a reclaiming of your own heart. It is you saying, without speaking, I deserve a love that moves toward me, not away from me. And whether he understands it or not, the moment you pull your energy back, the connection shifts at its core. Because for the first time, he feels the space where your presence used to be. For the first time, he feels the consequences of not choosing what his soul has always wanted. For the first time, he feels the loss of a woman who once loved him with all the strength she had. The divine masculine has mistaken your devotion as permanence. He assumed you would always be there. He believed he could postpone the awakening forever. He counted on you to be the one holding the flame while he avoided his feelings. But now the flame is no longer in his hands to ignore. It is rising inside you. Not for him, but for yourself. And this is where everything changes. He will feel it not in his mind, but in his soul. The silence that once comfort afforded him will now haunt him. The space that once gave him freedom will now demand responsibility. The distance that once protected him from vulnerability will now expose him to truth. Because your absence removes the illusions he used to hide behind. When you stop giving everything, he must finally see what he contributed. When you stop reaching out, he must finally see his hands are empty. When you stop carrying the connection, he must finally decide whether he is willing to carry his part too. You are not abandoning the connection. You are abandoning the version of it that broke you. You are not rejecting him. You are rejecting the behavior that made you feel alone in a bond meant for two. And the universe is supporting you, pushing you, guiding you into this shift not as punishment, but as liberation. This is where your strength is no longer measured by how much you endure, but by how much you now refuse to endure. Your absence will wake his heart. It will trigger his soul. It will shake his foundation. Not because you are punishing him, but because the connection is finally reflecting the truth. Without mutual effort, the bond cannot survive. He will feel what you once felt. He will question what you once questioned. He will miss what he once ignored. And for the first time, he will understand that love requires courage, not comfort. Divine Feminine, your absence is the storm that clears the path. It is the silence that forces him to listen. It is the distance that forces him to move. And what comes next depends on him. Will he rise into the love the universe chose for him, or will he cling to the fears that have kept him asleep? Either way, you are stepping into a version of yourself that no longer waits to be chosen. You are becoming the woman who chooses herself first, and that shift changes everything. This is not the end of the story. This is the moment the story finally begins to move forward. Why her absence begins the shift. Divine Feminine, when you decide to step back, it is not a moment of weakness. It is the moment where everything inside this connection begins to rearrange itself. For a long time, you believed that your presence was the glue holding this bond together. You believed that if you stayed, if you tried, if you kept giving love, eventually he would rise into the version of himself that this connection always required. But the truth is, as long as you were the one carrying the connection alone, the masculine never had to rise. He never had to choose. He never had to feel the weight of what he was risking by avoiding his own feelings. Your absence begins the shift because it removes the safety net. The story cannot continue on autopilot anymore. He cannot simply rely on your love to keep the journey alive. When you pull your energy back, a silence is created that forces movement. A space opens that no distraction can fill. The comfort he once felt becomes discomfort, because now he must face the consequences of everything he postponed. This is the moment the masculine begins to awaken, not through romance, not through messages, but through the realization that you are no longer holding the connection together for him. Your absence is alignment. It is you choosing truth over illusion. It is you choosing self-respect over longing. And when you do that, the energetic dynamic flips. You are no longer the one trying to earn love. You become the one love must rise to meet. The connection stops being a place where you lose yourself and becomes a place where he must find himself. That is why the shift begins only when you step away. Because while you were giving everything, he had nothing to measure his actions against. He could keep running without losing. Now, for the first time, he feels the cost of running. And soon, the thoughts he pushed away begin to chase him. He remembers the way you saw him when he could not see himself. He remembers the calm in your presence that no one else ever gave. He remembers your voice, your care, the love he never understood but always felt. He remembers the magic he thought he could live without. Your absence awakens memory. It triggers reflection. It brings him face to face with his own truth. He misses the part of himself he only felt when he was with you. Before, he feared the intensity of the connection. Now, he fears the emptiness without it. Before, your love made him feel exposed. Now, the silence makes him feel lost. Before, he hid behind excuses. Now, he runs out of places to hide. Your absence removes the illusions that kept him safe from his own emotions. And suddenly, he can no longer pretend that this connection was something he could simply walk away from. You stepping back forces him to step inward. He begins to notice what he ignored. He begins to crave what he once rejected. He begins to see that you never asked for too much. He offered too little. The shift begins when your heart stops trying to convince his soul. Because now, his soul must convince his mind. And that is the true awakening of the masculine. It does not happen when you give more. It happens when you refuse to give what is no longer earned. Your absence is not silence. It is a message. It is a mirror. It is a doorway to transformation. And he feels it in ways no one else ever could. He feels the energy that once held him slipping away. He feels the fear of losing something sacred. He feels the love that his ego told him to ignore. Because now everything he thought he could control is shifting, and the only way to stop the fall is to rise. Divine Feminine, you are not stepping back to punish. You are stepping back to heal. You are stepping back to grow. You are stepping back because your soul refuses to remain in a place that does not rise with you. This is why your absence begins the shift. It teaches him that real love is not guaranteed. It must be chosen. It must be honored. It must be met with equal energy. Your absence is the beginning of his awakening. Your absence is the beginning of the real connection. Your absence is the beginning of everything that comes next. Divine Feminine. There comes a moment in every twin flame journey where love is no longer enough to justify staying present. A moment where your heart stops begging for connection and starts asking for self-respect. It is not a decision made from anger, but from truth, not from rejection, but from recognition. You realize that your soul is asking for more than breadcrumbs of affection, more than promises without action, more than potential without presence. For so long, you gave because you believed in the connection. You waited because you trusted the journey. You forgave because your heart saw the best in him, even when he couldn't see it in himself. But somewhere along the way, you began to feel the weight of imbalance. You felt the exhaustion of giving more than you received. You felt the ache of being spiritually close, yet physically distant. You felt the longing turning into self-sacrifice. That is the moment self-respect speaks louder than desire. Self-respect does not yell, it whispers. It says, "You deserve love that stands beside you, not love that hides in the shadows." It says, "Your heart is sacred and should not be treated as optional." It says, "If someone cannot rise with you, then you rise alone." And when you finally listen to that voice, you step back, not to forget the connection, but to honor yourself within it. Distance becomes necessary, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as protection. Your energy refuses to be taken for granted any longer. Your heart refuses to be placed on hold. Your soul refuses to shrink just to keep him comfortable. The Divine Feminine does not chase. She chooses. She chooses herself first, not because she is selfish, but because she knows that any love requiring her to abandon herself is not love aligned with purpose. When you walk away, everything feels different. The silence is full of clarity. The distance is full of truth. You start to notice how heavy the connection had become when you were holding it alone. You realize how much emotional weight you were carrying that was never yours to bear. You look at the past and finally understand. You weren't losing him, you were losing yourself. And that is why this stage arrives, to remind you who you are without the fear of losing love. When you reclaim your self-respect, you reclaim your power. You stop trying to convince him of your worth. You stop interpreting his confusion as a reflection of your value. You stop internalizing his silence as proof of your inadequacy. Instead, you recognize that his lack of readiness is not your failure. It is his journey. It is his responsibility. It is his delayed courage, not your diminished worth. Distance gives him the opportunity to understand this too. When you step back, he feels the loss of your energy, the warmth that healed him without words, the presence that gave him strength without conditions, the love that guided him even when he pretended not to need guidance. Suddenly, he must face the fear he buried beneath distractions. Suddenly, the world feels colder. Suddenly, the silence he once used as protection becomes the very thing that exposes his heart. Your self-respect disrupts the dynamic. He can no longer rely on you to keep the connection alive. He can no longer avoid what he feels. He can no longer run from the truth that you awakened inside him. Because when the divine feminine steps back, the divine masculine is forced to step forward or lose everything his soul has always recognized as sacred. This stage is where you choose alignment over attachment, where you choose peace over confusion, where you choose growth over stagnation. You stop asking, "Will he return?" and start declaring, "I will not shrink waiting for him." And that shift is everything. Distance becomes your healing. Distance becomes your transformation. Distance becomes the catalyst for his awakening. Self-respect demands distance when love is not being honored, and your soul refuses to engage in a connection that does not reflect your worth. This is where you rise. This is where you expand. This is where you discover the power you forgot you had. Divine feminine, stepping back is not losing love. It is choosing yourself. And that choice is the one thing that changes everything. Divine feminine, he never saw the full magnitude of what you gave while you were still giving it. He never realized how much he depended on your presence while he could still feel you every day. He didn't understand how profoundly your energy held his world in place while he was still surrounded by it. And that is how the divine masculine learns, through the absence of what he once took for granted. There is a moment after you step back when he finally feels the silence you once filled. It arrives slowly at first, a thought of you that interrupts his routine, a memory that won't leave, a song or a scent that pulls him into a wave of emotion he doesn't know how to process. What once felt like comfort now feels like loss. What once felt like control now feels like regret. What once felt like protection now feels like emptiness. He begins to feel the difference between having you in his life and only having the shadow of what he pushed away. The masculine has always lived in logic. He told himself he needed to focus, to fix his life, to protect his heart, to avoid messing up something so intense. He convinced himself he had time, that destiny would wait for him, that you would always be there no matter how far he ran. But something changes the moment your energy withdraws. He feels the weight of your absence in a way he can't explain. The nights feel longer. The world feels colder. The distractions lose their power. He starts to realize that the peace he thought he wanted wasn't peace at all. It was numbness, and now that numbness is cracking open. Your absence becomes the mirror he can no longer look away from. He remembers how you believed in him before he believed in himself. He remembers how your love made him feel safe enough to dream bigger. He remembers the softness in your voice, the forgiveness in your heart, the way your presence made him feel seen in a world where he always had to hide his true self. And deep inside, he begins to panic, quietly, secretly, silently, because now he feels what you once felt, the fear of losing something sacred. The divine masculine starts to understand that your love wasn't ordinary, that your heart wasn't replaceable, that the bond between you wasn't something he could outrun or bury under excuses. He realizes that what he once saw as overwhelming intensity was actually divine clarity, his soul calling him home, and suddenly he wants to come closer. But the path back to you is not simple anymore. He knows that the version of him who left you cannot be the version who returns. The man who avoided his feelings cannot show up to speak his truth. The soul that chose silence cannot be the one to ask for another chance. Your absence demands his transformation. He starts questioning the choices he made out of fear. He starts regretting the moments he didn't show up. He starts longing for the connection he once suppressed. He realizes that you are not just someone he cares about. You are the only one who ever felt like destiny. And yet, the greatest realization he faces is this: you are no longer waiting. That truth shakes him more deeply than any separation ever did. Because for the first time, the masculine confronts the possibility of losing you, not temporarily, not emotionally, but for real. And that fear does what love alone could not. It wakes him up. He begins to see the difference between what he thought he wanted and what his soul has always needed. He begins to understand that love is not supposed to feel safe because safety kept him small. He begins to recognize that every excuse he once hid behind is now the barrier he must break through if he ever wants to stand beside you again. Your absence reveals his truth. Your silence teaches him devotion. Your distance ignites his transformation. Divine Feminine, the moment he realizes what he's missing is the moment his healing begins. He does not rise because you carried the connection. He rises because you finally stopped, and everything starts to shift. This is the beginning of his awakening, and the beginning of a future he can no longer ignore. Divine Feminine. What the Divine Masculine could not see in closeness, he is being forced to confront in distance. When you were near, he could hide behind his defenses. He could delay the truth. He could convince himself he had time to figure out his feelings. But now that your energy has retreated, the silence has become louder than anything you ever said. The space between you is no longer a comfort zone he can escape into. It has become the pressure his soul can no longer avoid. He used to believe that stepping away from the connection would give him relief, that distancing himself from the intensity would help him regain control. But all he found was a version of himself that feels incomplete. He doesn't recognize the man he becomes without the grounding presence of your love. The distractions he once used to cope now feel pointless. The people he surrounded himself with now feel distant, and the mask he wore to look strong is starting to break apart. Distance forces him to grow because it forces him to feel. He begins to realize that every time he pushed you away, he was actually pushing away the part of himself that was capable of loving fully. He sees that the fears he once blamed on you were reflections of his own unhealed wounds. He starts to question why the connection scares him so deeply, and the answers point not to you, but to the parts of himself he tried to hide. The Divine Masculine is often thrown into awakening through discomfort. He must face his loneliness to understand the depth of his love. He must face his silence to understand the importance of communication. He must face the possibility of losing you to understand that he wants to choose you. Growth rarely happens in peace. It happens in pressure. And right now, your absence is reshaping him in ways that your presence could not. Not because he didn't love you enough, but because he didn't love himself enough to believe he was worthy of you. Distance reveals the truth. He cannot evolve while staying the same man who ran. He now feels the consequences of his avoidance, not as punishment, but as awakening. He sees the impact of every moment he chose fear instead of vulnerability. He recognizes how deeply he suppressed what he felt for you, just to maintain a false sense of control. And now, control is the very thing he is losing. Guilt rises. Regret rises. Reflection rises. And growth begins. He looks at the path he chose and realizes it leads nowhere worth going. The life he built for safety now feels like a cage. The people he once tried to impress now will leave him feeling unseen. And every attempt he makes to move on only brings him back to to the same truth. He wants you, not the fantasy, not the potential, you. But this time, he knows wanting is not enough. Distance makes him see that if he does not face his fears, he will lose the one soul who ever made him feel alive. He begins to understand that you are not asking him to be perfect. You are asking him to be present, to show up, to choose love instead of running from it. He realizes that the only way forward is through transformation. He must dismantle the wall he built to survive. He must heal the wounds he once used to justify avoidance. He must grow into a man who can stand beside you without collapsing. This is the part of his journey that requires courage. Not the courage to love you, he already does, but the courage to love himself enough to believe he deserves the connection. And so the distance becomes a classroom, a mirror, a catalyst. It teaches him that fear cannot be his leader anymore. It teaches him that silence is not strength. It teaches him that if he wants the soul he belongs to, he must fight for that belonging. Divine Feminine, while you rise into alignment, he is rising into accountability. He may move slower than you. He may take longer to speak his truth. But do not mistake slow progress for lack of evolution. Growth is happening inside him every day. Your absence challenges his comfort. He is changing. He is reflecting. He is awakening. Because the distance did not separate you. It separated him from the old version of himself. And the man he is becoming is being shaped by the love he refused to lose. Divine Feminine, there comes a moment in the silence when he realizes that what he misses is not just you, it is who he was when he was connected to you. He starts to crave the version of himself that only your presence could awaken. The strength he felt when he was guided by your love. The peace he found when your energy wrapped around him like a home he didn't know he needed. And suddenly, everything he thought he could live without becomes the very thing he cannot stop longing for. At first, he tries to ignore it. He tells himself he's fine. He tries to focus on his routine, his responsibilities, his distractions. But the more he pushes down what he feels, the louder it becomes. Memories rise like waves that refuse to stay buried. He sees something that reminds him of your laugh. He hears something that brings back the way you once looked at him. A dream, a flashback, a moment of stillness, and there you are, present in a way he can no longer escape. Your energy was once a constant he took for granted. Now it is a missing piece he aches to find again. He remembers how you understood him without needing explanations, how you supported his soul even when he was sabotaging his own path. how you believed in him so strongly that he started to believe too, and he realizes something he was afraid to admit. The best version of him existed in your presence. That realization is uncomfortable. It exposes his vulnerability. It forces him to acknowledge the truth he tried to hide, that he needs the connection more deeply than he ever allowed himself to accept. His craving is not just emotional, it is spiritual. His soul longs for your energy, like a body longs for breath. What he once avoided now becomes the very thing he is desperate to feel again. His craving doesn't show up as confidence. It arrives as searching for signs, searching for understanding, searching for a way back. He checks your social media without interacting. He reopens old conversations and reads your words again. He imagines what he would say if he had the courage. He wonders if you still think of him. He wonders if he still matters. He wonders if destiny truly gives second chances. But here is the most important shift. He no longer wants your energy to soothe him. He wants your energy because it awakens who he is meant to be. He begins to crave your presence, not out of fear of losing you, but out of a desire to become someone worthy of you. He sees the difference between attachment and devotion. He recognizes that you didn't come into his life to comfort his wounds. You came to inspire his evolution. And that is when his longing becomes action. He starts rebuilding himself quietly. He begins to reflect on what he must change. He begins removing the excuses he hid behind. He begins confronting the emotions he once ignored. He begins stepping into the man he knows your soul already saw. Craving becomes motivation. Longing becomes responsibility. Distance becomes the spark that ignites growth. Divine Feminine, while you rise into self-respect, he rises into self-discovery. He starts to understand that what he desires is not the same dynamic as before, because he knows the old version of him is not enough anymore. He must evolve into the man who can stand next to you without shrinking, without fearing, without running. The craving is the call. His transformation is the answer. He misses not the fantasy, but the future, not the comfort, but the connection, not who you were, but who he could become with you. This is the turning point where longing turns into movement, where distance stops feeling like escape and becomes the path he must travel back toward his destiny. Your energy awakened him long before he admitted it. Now your absence awakens him even deeper, because what he yearns for is not just your presence, it is the love that made his soul feel alive. Divine Feminine. The masculine reaches a moment in this journey where running is no longer an option, a moment where silence feels unbearable, a moment where the distance he once used as protection becomes the very space that threatens to take everything from him. It is here, at the breaking point, that his awakening accelerates in ways his logic can no longer control. Throughout this process, he convinced himself he was fine, that he didn't need the connection, that he could build a life without feeling what his soul was screaming for. He thought he could bury the bond beneath responsibilities and distractions. He believed that ignoring what he felt would eventually make the feeling disappear. But the soul does not negotiate with fear, and destiny does not bow to avoidance. So the pressure grows. His mind becomes a battlefield where thoughts of you return every time he tries to silence them. His heart becomes unsettled, restless, heavy with unspoken truths. His emotions, the ones he avoided, suppressed, denied, start demanding attention. The more he tries to stay in control, the more control he loses. Until one day, he breaks, not in weakness, in revelation. The breaking point is not about falling apart. It is about breaking out of the prison he built around his own truth. He begins to realize that every excuse he used to justify distance only led him deeper into emptiness. He understands that fear protected him from pain, but it also protected him from love. And that realization hurts more than anything he tried to avoid. He cannot breathe inside the walls he created. He cannot live a life that denies his soul. He cannot pretend the connection is gone when his entire being is still made of you. This breaking point brings him face to face with his truth. He loves you. He needs you. He chooses you, not because he is weak, but because his heart finally won the battle against his fear. But reaching this point is terrifying for him, because to come toward you now, he must face what he ran from: vulnerability, honesty, accountability, and change. He begins to look at the future and realizes he does not want to walk into it without you. He thinks about the moments he stayed silent when he should have spoken. He replays the choices where he turned away from destiny. He feels the regret of every time he saw love and walked the opposite direction. The fear of losing you becomes more real than the fear of loving you. That shift is everything. His breaking point forces action. He must speak. He must show up. He must try. Because the silence that once kept him safe now feels like the biggest threat to his happiness. And while he breaks internally, he begins to rebuild, brick by brick, belief by belief, choice by choice. He does not want to return as the man who ran. He wants to return as the man who stays. This is the moment separation loses its power, not because circumstances changed, but because he changed. His heart refuses to stay quiet. His intuition refuses to be ignored. His soul refuses to lose its home. Divine Feminine, your strength is what gave him space to reach this point. Your absence removed the illusions. Your self-respect exposed the truth. Your silence awakened his voice. You stepping back forced him to step into himself. He breaks not because the connection is failing, but because the connection is working. He breaks because love is stronger than fear. He breaks because destiny refuses to let him choose anything less. He breaks because awakening requires the destruction of everything false. The breaking point is the threshold. On one side, the man who hid. On the other, the man who returns. And once he crosses that line, nothing will ever be the same. Divine Feminine, this journey is not ending. It is transforming. Everything that once felt like loss is turning into direction. Everything that once felt like silence is turning into truth. Everything that once felt like distance is turning into motion. The return does not begin with a message or a call. It begins with the internal shift he can no longer resist. Right now, the Divine Masculine is learning the greatest lesson of his soul. You do not discover the value of destiny until you risk losing it. The silence that once protected him now exposes everything he refused to feel. The distance that once gave him control now shows him how powerless he is against love that was written long before the two of you ever met. He is understanding that love is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. His return begins quietly, in the nights where he can't sleep without thinking of you, in the moments where his chest tightens because your memory feels so real, in the times he rehearses words he has never had the courage to say, in the realization that no connection has ever felt like home except this one. His mind tries to rationalize the craving, but his soul keeps pulling him back to the same truth. You are his path. You are his mirror. You are his destiny. This is the phase where the masculine becomes aware that the world he built to avoid vulnerability can no longer hold his heart. He begins to dismantle the walls he promised himself he would never drop. He finds himself standing in the ruins of his own avoidance. And in those ruins, he finally sees the doorway back to you. But this time, the path is different. He is different. You are different. He knows that when he returns, he cannot bring the version of himself who ran. He cannot return with half-truths or guarded emotions. He cannot show up as the man who feared love more than he desired it. He must rise into the version of himself that your soul always knew existed. And while he prepares for this transformation, something powerful is happening within you too. You are no longer waiting, you are receiving. You are no longer hoping, you are trusting. You are no longer shrinking, you are expanding. Your energy has stepped into union long before the physical has caught up. And that is why the return is inevitable, because the feminine stopped chasing. She started embodying. She started becoming the frequency he must rise into if he wants to stand beside her. The silence is sacred. The distance is divine. The transformation is mutual. This journey has never been about who loves more. It has always been about who aligns first. And you have aligned. You have turned your pain into power. You have turned separation into self-discovery. You have turned longing into independence. You have turned love into embodiment. That shift is what awakens him. That shift is what guides him home. That shift is why the return begins now. Divine Feminine, breathe into this truth. The story is not ending. It is entering a higher chapter. A chapter where he moves toward you with intention. A chapter where his love becomes visible. A chapter where the connection stops living in potential and begins living in reality. You did not lose him, you lost the version of him who wasn't ready. And in that loss, you made space for the man who is. Silence is not the absence of movement. It is the beginning of transformation. The return has already started, and destiny is now leading